Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we are doing a get ready with me for church. So, happy Easter. Is everyone excited for the resurrection today? I know I am. So, Easter is of course a time to be remembering what Jesus did for us, remembering that Jesus died for our sins, was crucified for our sins, and on the third day, so that's today, he rose from the dead and ascended into heaven. So today I'm going to talk about a small book that I have been reading. So the book that I'm going to discuss today is called The Prayer of Jabez. So this is the book, The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson. So I've been trying to get this book for ages, and there were several different editions, so I was like, which edition do I get? Then I think I just got the first edition. But this book, The Prayer of Jabez, as you can see, it is a New York Times #1 bestseller with more than 10 million copies sold. So I was really excited for this book. And so first I'm going to read you The Prayer of Jabez, and then I'm going to explain it, and then I'm going to read it to you again at the end. So this is the prayer of Jabez. Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain. So it says, and Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying this prayer, and so God granted what he requested. So, who was Jabez? Jabez was a little known, underrated character in the Bible who he was born in pain. So like his mom named him Jabez because Jabez actually means pain, and because her labor with him was extremely painful. So that's why his name means pain. And so the Jabez prayer, it's basically about this humble man named Jabez who came from very unfortunate circumstances. And then he said this simple prayer, and God honored his request. And God made Jabez the leader of a tribe, I think. So he became a great leader of a tribe. Comment down below if I'm not getting this right, but I believe that Jabez became the great leader of a tribe. And so the prayer is so powerful yet so simple. It's just 4 simple lines. And so this book basically goes through explaining why this simple prayer is so powerful. So we'll start with the first line. Oh, that you would bless me indeed. So to explain this line, Bruce Wilkinson uses the example of, there's a story of a man named John, and John dies and goes to heaven. And when John gets to heaven, he sees all these beautiful buildings like palaces and all these beautiful architecture in heaven. And then he sees this one building and it looks like a warehouse. And he's like, what is a warehouse doing in heaven? And so he asks his tour guide, who I assume is an angel or something, he asks him, can I please see what's in that building? And the guide says, like, you don't want to see what's in that building. And then Mr. Jones, after the tour, Mr. Jones goes up and asks again, like, can I please just see what's in that building? And the tour guide says, okay, fine, but you'll regret it. And so tour guide opens the door to the warehouse-like building, and in it, there are like floor-to-ceiling tiny little red wrapped gift boxes, like with white paper and then red ribbon around them. And each of them has someone's name on them. And Mr. Jones is like, oh my gosh, gifts! Like, is there one for me? And the guide says, yes there is. And then he finds his own box and he's like, what are these? And the guide explains to him, these are all of the blessings that God wanted to give to you when you were alive, but he didn't get to because you didn't ask. So say God has 30 blessings a day that he wants to give to you, but you have to ask. So if you don't ask specifically, like, God, that you would bless me indeed, which he says, indeed, using indeed at the end of a sentence is in Hebrew the equivalent to using like 5 exclamation marks. So he's saying, God, will you bless me indeed? And so, purpose of that is that God cannot bestow on you all the blessings that he has for you if you don't ask. And so that is the first line. Then the second line says, and enlarge my territory. So this line, what he's saying here is, so Jabez, he looked at his life and he said, surely I was made for more than this. Like, surely I was born for greater things. And so that's why he asked God for more, because when God enlarges your territory, then you're putting your trust in him. You're saying, like, I want to take on more for the greater good of your kingdom. And it also says, like, is it okay to ask for more for my business? Because that sounds, selfish and greedy. And in this book, Bruce Wilkinson says that it is actually okay to pray and ask for more for your business, because your business, for example, is the territory that God has entrusted to you. So when you ask for God to enlarge your territory, you're saying, okay, I'm ready and willing to take on more for the good of your kingdom. And that makes God really happy and excited. And so if you ask, then he will. And then the next line is that your hand would be with me. So the purpose of this line is talking about how people want to be all like independent, and we think that it's a bad thing to depend on anyone. But actually, you should depend on God. You should want to depend on God, because alone, you're not capable of very much. Like, on your own, you're not capable of very much. But through God, all things are possible. And so that your hand would be with me, he's asking to depend on God, because, like I said, you should want to depend on God, because that makes you infinitely more powerful and more capable than you could ever be on your own. So that's the purpose of the third line. And then the fourth and final line is and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain. So the purpose of this line, he's saying that people get complacent, like once they've been a prayer warrior for a long time and they're involved in ministry, they start to get complacent and think like, okay, cool, I don't need to worry about temptation anymore because I'm so spiritually evolved. But he says that that is actually a very dangerous thinking, because you should always be on your guard, because the devil is sneaky and he comes prowling in the night, and he also comes disguised as an angel of light. So and there was an example of this in the Good Friday service. My pastor in the Good Friday service, he was talking about how someone came to him who was struggling with, they were having an affair, and this man was married, and his wife had had they together had a child with special needs. And so this man was telling my pastor that God had told me to go for love, which what that meant to him was to go for this younger woman instead of his wife. And so my pastor pointed out, like he was saying, that's not God's voice, that's the devil. And so the devil will be sneaky like that and try and convince you that he is God. So that's why the purpose of the final line in the Prayer of Jabez that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain. So this little book, it's only like 100 pages, and yeah, it's basically about this really powerful prayer. I've been saying this prayer for 10 days now, I think, and I already got a new job, so that's very exciting. And so that is the Prayer of Jabez. Thank you for getting ready with me for church today. I hope you have a happy Easter. You're beautiful, you're perfect, I love you, and God bless you. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.